Hey, welcome back, guys. Power Ghost episode 409 will go down as one of the signature offerings when assessing this series, highlighted by Cain being forced to choose between a future of uncertainty or a past of solidarity, and his mother making that choice an easy one with one final act of love on his behalf, a mother's love in the rawest form. I'm here to break it all down in typical top 10 WTF fashion. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. WTF moment number 10, the setup, part 1, Carter's move. Carter calls up Tariq and orders him to pull up on a road dealer at an amusement park on Staten Island due to the dealer's troublesome way. His rationale behind making Tariq carry out this task is the element of surprise, admitting that a police presence will only scare the dealer away without consequences being handed out. In Carter's mandate to Tariq, nowhere therein does he mention the dealer's name or description, which should have been a first clue to Reek that he was being played all along. WTF moment number 9, Tejada family dinner. Take 4. Noma and Cain's budding union apprehensively unites both sides of their family, culminating in one fateful dinner that, if we know anything about the Tejadas by now, only ends in tragedy. Though not as terrible as dinners of Tejadas past, this gathering was full of shade being thrown and tea being spilled, if you will. The major subjects were Cain's penthouse, Monet's bar, Noma's business, how Cain and Noma came to meet in the first place, and perhaps the funniest bombshell, both Monet and Noma's former proximity to Mecca. A point that Monet hilariously outlined in comparison to Noma's now romantic interest in her son, arguably making her look like the creep that she is, and inspiring the international queen pin to end this dinner as early as possible. WTF moment number 8, the setup, part 2, Noma's move. During the twilight of the family gathering, Noma attempts to make nice with Monet and sends her out to a would-be death trap in the form of a drug shipment pickup, understanding that Monet only wants one thing from the queen pin, and that's a financial incentive for releasing her son to her. WTF moment number 7, the setup, part 3, Russian realization. Drew and Diana, in search of Monet, get word that she's heading out to Staten Island, the same place that Drew got wind of Tariq heading on Carter's orders. The two Tejadas arrive on scene just in time to save Tariq and their mother from a Russian ambush orchestrated by their adversaries turned allies. After disposing of the Russians, the crew make it seem like the hit was a success, and Tariq and Monet temporarily fake their deaths in order to come up with a plan to finally rid themselves of the dirty cop and maniacal drug lord. WTF moment number 6, the intricate plot. Tariq, Monet, and Joanna all hold a secret meeting at a motel to plot their retaliation against Noma and Carter for attempting a hit on their lives. The team agrees to create distance between Noma and Cain for Cain's safety in the hit, and take out Noma while she's in a quiet moment. Carter, on the other hand, presents more of an outlier for the group. However, Drew keys them in on Carter's confessional time during the weekends, and they agree to take Carter out inside the church and return his lifeless body to a nearby Monet for further disposal. This was a decent scheme on the surface, but two things forever changed it. 1, Carter's reveal to Tariq about the Zion footage, something that he previously had no idea was out there. And 2, Carter's warning to Noma regarding Monet's survival status. WTF moment number 5, Davis McKill. Davis returns to the wedding in an attempt to distract Noma so the remaining Tejadas could infiltrate the fortress and begin to position themselves. However, after being whisked away by her and listening in on her head of security's concerns regarding Vadim's status, Davis convinces the security guard to join him on a trip to make a delivery to Vadim, nervously taking the drive the whole way. Then, upon arriving at a desolate enough spot, Davis flips on the guard, and the two get into a physical struggle that ends with Davis catching his first official body, strangling the guard out, and subsequently disposing of him in the unknown terrain. Now, Davis is depicted as returning to the wedding, but the reception, on the other hand, is another matter entirely, as we receive no view of him at the celebratory event. Given everything that transpired afterwards, this could put Davis in hot water with the Tejadas, and hopefully he has an alibi that plays out well enough to move forward with the crew at large. WTF moment number 4, change of plans. Tariq, Effie, and Braden, the beloved big three of the Power Ghost universe, reunite for one last mission in order to take out Detective Carter. They successfully infiltrate the church, knock out any potential witnesses, and hack into the main computer cameras, getting a front row seat to Tariq doing the deed on Carter. However, Upon Tariq getting the drop on the double-minded detective, Carter reveals to him that he's in control of the Zion footage, something that Tariq didn't even know existed up to that point. This staggers the plan entirely, as Tariq is taken aback and gives Carter just enough time to get the drop on him, even getting a chance to put the gun on him, arrest him, and walk him out of the church to what's sure to be an imminent demise, if not for his meddling friends. WTF moment number 3, crash out Braden. In a desperate attempt to save Tariq's life from a driven Carter, Braden and Effie closely chase after the two, with Braden deciding to crash into Carter's vehicle and thus injure him to the point of unconsciousness in order to apprehend him and save Tariq from his clutches. Now, this is a maneuver that a sober Braden might not have made, but a freshly booted up and tooted up Braden? I'm talking right off of the coke in a church? Yeah, this is definitely a move that he would make. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but thank God that he did. Because who's to say what Carter would have done with Tariq had he shaken his friends for good? WTF moment number 2, choose wisely. Noma and Kane share a final dance at the reception of their wedding when Noma begins communicating him that a choice finally needs to be made before they take their relationship any further. This choice represents a final line drawn in the sand and drawn in blood no less. It's either her or Monet. A baffled Kane quickly rebuffs Noma's request, only to have his remaining family taken away by Noma's guards and to have any efforts of his own escape thwarted by her brother Chinadu, who I must admit was very much so on key with his sister during this event. So props to Chinadu's little plankton-looking ass, because his meddling is the only thing that continued to mask what proved to be a clandestine but hostile takeover. And WTF moment number 1, Hail Monet. Directly following Noma's ultimatum coup d'etat against Kane and his Tejada clan, Monet makes it on the scene just in the nick of time to rescue Drew and Diana from certain captivity. After capitulating to their insistence on storming Noma's fortress with their mother, Monet goes on a one-woman killing spree against every soldier who crosses her path, unwavering in her campaign to save her oldest living child and spiritual twin. Simultaneously during her warpath, Noma presses Kane to finally choose her over his own mother, to which he staunchly refuses, even dropping hints to why his loyalty to Monet will never fold. Kane mentions how the hood is rife with what Nas once called villains and creeps, and alludes to something horrific potentially occurring to him without his mother's intervention. Thus, he could never go against the woman who put it all on the line for him since the beginning, and would do so again in the end. After finally blasting her way to Kane, Monet is forced to choose between suppression fire or her son's life, an easy choice for any mother worthy of the title. Nene makes one final hurrah in order to spare Kane's life and exchanges her own in dramatic fashion. A helpless Kane is forced to watch on as his mother is mowed down, and Drew and Diana unfortunately make it too late to save their last parent left. This was an intense, emotionally taxing scene, one that will be repaid in blood come the series finale. Some lingering thoughts before we end today's video. Janet's return this week was a welcome one. She's been the spiritual and moral compass of the Tejadas at large, and Monet in particular. Her appearance in this episode is critical to the Tejada family theme. She's a representation of what could be, and without her presence this season, they would be much worse off than what they are. Janet's character is meant to keep the Tejadas in remembrance of their familial bonds, and to check Monet's ego whenever she strays away from this reality. She's quite literally the personification of Monet's series-long quote, family first, and her response to Nene's demise will only be rivaled by her children from a somber standpoint. Noma reclaimed her fleeting aura in 409. She's been weakened, and dare I say humbled, throughout this season by adversaries and circumstances, but taking out such a strong character in Monet means that she's through playing around, and the proverbial line in the sand has been drawn. You're either with me or against me. That unspoken mantra spells even worse news for Davis, who may just be the next pillar to fall in the finale next week to cap off what has been a classic era in power history. While we're discussing tragedies, in addition to Davis, will Effie be another power domino to fall? After all, she was just accepted into her series-long robotics program, and we all know how short-lived triumphs can be in the Powerverse. You could be on your way to becoming lieutenant governor and then shot down like a dog in the same episode. This is power, and no virtue resides here, only heartbreak. Kane's continued romantic proximity to Effie will also prove fatally hazardous to her. Remember, Noma declared herself to be a one-woman show. She's already taken out one of her female counterpart barriers in Monet. Effie is the only one standing in such a role now, but perhaps not for much longer. Kane clapping those red-bone cheeks the night before his marriage to Noma is reason enough to take her off the board, but the lingering love element cements her fate even more. Diana walking away from that college test early on was a symbolic move in a major way. It represents her leaving the legitimate world behind for the underworld permanently. And now with the death of her mother, she'll have another added incentive to carry on tradition for the sake of family. Her journey this season has prepared her for such a moment of truth. The attempt on her mother, staring death in the face in the form of Tariq's gun, battling with pregnancy, losing her child violently, murdering the culprit behind such a massive loss, and now having the only person that knows her best snatched away before her very eyes. Diana is primed for a ruthless existence, one that a college classroom couldn't begin to comprehend nor fulfill. It'd be interesting to see how she develops in any future spinoffs given everything she's been through this season. Remember, she echoed these sentiments in so many words to Drew, stating that, quote, "I can't shake this feeling that I lost something. And I'm not just talking about the baby. I feel lost. That loss speaks to the loss of innocence and journey to a darker version of herself. The sun will permanently set on that innocence come episode 10. Monet crashing out for her kids to a Tupac soundtrack was one of the coldest scenes in the genre of crime, and Hail Mary was appropriate. I just wish they would have taken heed to another Tupac classic from one album prior, You Can't See Me, where the icon states, quote, "Must see my enemies defeated. I catch them while they coked up and weeded open fire, now them niggas bleeding." A critical misstep in the art of war is scattered enemies. And had Tariq and Monet schemed against Carter and Noma while they were in the same place, rather than separate, the Tejada matriarch just might still be alive. After all, you can't fight a war on two fronts. And hopefully, the self-proclaimed apex predator now realizes that. And lastly, it was beautiful to see Monet express her true feelings and encouragement towards her children prior to her last stand. With Druana, she gave them the respect of adults rather than forcing their hands and taking out Carter and Noma. And with Kane, she gave him credit for stepping up in Lorenzo's absence and deemed him as a good son. These instances really buffered the emotions felt later and slightly signaled toward the end of our favorite Tejada matriarch. Rest in power, Monet. And yes, pun intended. But that will do it for this one. What were your thoughts on Power Ghost episode 409? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.